Welcome to Software Finder's Vendor Spotlight series. Primalogik is one of our Excellence Award winners, so we're really excited to have you here and to dive more into how Primalogik was set up and what value it really offers buyers today.
Thank you for having us. We're really excited.
So why don't we start with how Primalogik was initiated and what the founders were really thinking about?
Yes, so Primalogik was founded in 2012. At the time, the two co-founders, Gabriel and David, were working in a different company, and the performance management processes over there were quite heavy and rigid. Both Gabriel and David felt that feedback should help people grow and develop and not just be another administrative task. So they decided to build a simpler, more practical approach to performance management, and that's really how Primalogik came to be.
And what businesses do you feel like get the most value out of Primalogik?
I think a small to mid-sized organization, anywhere from 10 to 500 employees, is where you see the best values. If we're thinking of industries, we work with tech, healthcare, education, professional services, to name a few. I think people come to us when their performance management just aren't working anymore. And for some people, it's because they have informal processes. They are either using spreadsheet or ad hoc reviews, and they're looking for more structure. Others have tools in place, but they're complex or too rigid for their needs. So in both cases, companies are looking for more flexibility, a more practical approach to their day-to-day work. And that's really what Primalogik has to offer.
And how do you feel Primalogik differs itself from other competitors in the space?
I think what sets us apart is the balance we strike between flexibility and simplicity. We've built Primalogik to provide structure, but in a way that companies can still tailor the way they work. So whether that's performance review, 360 feedback, or goal tracking, it's also a platform that's quick for implementation, easy to use day by day, and it will evolve with your team as your team grow. And beyond the product itself, we really see ourselves as partners to our customers. So we're there to support them in any way they need, and we really want them to feel confident when they launch their first review cycle.
So you mentioned how you see yourself as partners to your users. How do you help and support users when they're onboarding onto a new platform like Primalogik?
A lot of our customers will start with our free trial. So that gives them an opportunity to explore the platform at their own rhythm and see how everything works. In some cases, we do have clients when they're ready to get started that feel comfortable setting everything up on their own. But for most people, I would say we will set up an onboarding call with them. We will go through the account setting, make sure it matches what their company needs, answer any question, and we will make sure that they're ready to launch that first review cycle. And beyond that, we remain available throughout the customer journey. So at any point, the process has changed or they have question, we are truly available at all times.
A lot of tools offer 360-degree feedback. What do you think Primalogik does differently there?
I think for us, it's where the platform started. So we put a lot of thought into making this module both clear and flexible. It's possible to customize the questionnaires, the workflows, the reports, all to match your objective, but the experience still remains straightforward for participant. And till this day, we do have a lot of clients, including HR consultant, that use Primalogik purely for their 360 programs because they're able to run those customizable feedback quite efficiently and focus quickly on data and results rather than spending a lot of time on administration.
So it is possible for people to purchase individual modules within Primalogik.
We do have two packages, one called Feedback, which focuses a lot for 360 feedback because there is a need there for customers. And then we have the entire platform, which is the performance package.
And how customizable are the competencies in the typical 360-degree setup?
They're fully customizable. You can select any competencies or question you wish to assess, or you can build them from scratch. You can also select different questionnaires for different roles. So if leadership, technical teams, or individual contributors don't share the same competencies, that can be reflected in the 360. I think the goal is just to make sure the feedback is relevant for the people receiving it and not just apply the same framework for everyone.
That makes sense. That's probably really helpful for users. So when it comes to feedback, I think anonymity is a huge concern, especially within smaller teams. What do you do to ensure that people have that privacy?
So we offer a lot of flexibility in terms of anonymity. It is a concern for a lot of people. So you can select your surveys to be completely anonymous, which means even HR leadership would not know who answered what. We do have a middle ground as well, where only HR and leadership can identify respondents, but the survey will remain anonymous to everybody else. And I think this is a good compromise where you're promoting honest feedback from participants, but still keeping a certain level of accountability. And the last option we offer for companies that have a completely transparent culture, you have the option to make it fully visible. So we really want to provide flexibility in the anonymity settings so companies can really tailor it to the way they operate.
So Primalogik really goes the extra mile in making sure that companies are able to customize their feedback processes. I think that's really insightful.
Yes, I think that's very important for our customers, and that's why we provide it.
Are there any engagement insights that customers are surprised to see when they review the data?
I think customers sometimes are surprised by how much employees value transparency and regular feedback. A lot of leaders feel like they're communicating openly, but when they look at the data, they realize that employees want even more regular conversation and more feedback. We had a particular client of ours also tell us that once they started using Primalogik, their culture really shifted to one that embraced feedback and transparency. And it really changed the way people communicated, which was great to hear.
Can you share a story of a company that saw a real difference in their performance or engagement once they started using Primalogik?
Yes, of course. One story that comes to mind, we had a company, an accounting firm that had a very time-consuming review process. Their managers would take anywhere from 4 to 8 hours to fill up a single review. So it was quite lengthy. They even stored Primalogik to help bring some structure and consistency to the process. And they saw a big change in efficiency. So after Primalogik, the managers could fill up the review in under an hour, which was a huge bonus. And that gave them extra time to work on things like goals and have more ongoing conversations. So it really transformed the way they looked at performance management and pushed them towards a more continuous approach, which they really benefited from.
So can you share a story of a company that saw a real difference in their performance when they started using Primalogik?
Yes, of course. One example I have in mind is an accounting firm we work with. They had a very lengthy review process. So their managers would take anywhere from 4 to 8 hours to fill up a single review. They implemented Primalogik to try and gain more structure and consistency in their processes, and they saw a huge gain in efficiency. The reviews time to fill up a review went down to about an hour. So it really was a big gain from 4 to 8 hours to 1 hour. And it helped them liberate time to do more things in performance management, like track goals and have more ongoing conversation. So it allowed them to shift to a more continuous approach to management, which had a lot of benefits for them. So that was great to hear.
We hear a lot about how teams prefer continuous feedback, but how do you see continuous feedback fitting in alongside more formal reviews?
I really believe organizations need both. I think formal reviews are important. They're the opportunity to pause and look at everything from a more general perspective. And it's usually where compensation review happens. So they're an integral part of performance management. However, if feedback only happens in those formal reviews, it often can feel disconnected from the day-to-day reality. And sometimes some of the feedback can be surprising to employees. And I think that's where continuous feedback is really important. You need those checking, you need those ongoing conversation, talking about goals and tracking them so that teams stay aligned and have those conversations along the way. And when those formal reviews do happen, then it's not a surprise anymore. It's just a summary of what's already been discussed throughout the year.
That's, I think, a great approach to look at reviews and how it can work together. When it comes to reporting, what types of reporting would you say that management and leadership generally get to care more about?
In terms of managers, I think they're focused on their own team. They want to see their employees' goals, the reviews, the check-ins. So anything that will help them keep the team aligned and have those coaching moments. When it comes to HR or leadership, they're looking at things more broadly. They're usually the ones that will have launch review cycles for the entire company. And they'll be looking at completion rate, making sure that the entire process feels fair for everyone, and try to identify trends in the engagement and performance data.
And where do you think that the employee feedback space is heading into the next few years?
I think we'll continue to see a shift towards more continuous feedback. More and more people are realizing that once a year review just isn't enough if you want to truly develop employees. I also feel like AI will continue to play a bigger role in HR, not to replace human judgment, but really to help identify trends in the data, in the feedback, summarize information, and guide coaching conversation. Ultimately, I think we'll see more companies not just collect feedback, but use that feedback to help people grow.
It's interesting that you mentioned the role of AI in performance management. Are there any upcoming developments that you're excited about in terms of how Primalogik is developing?
Yes. So in the beginning of the year or end of last year, we've launched the AI generated summary, which was great for analyzing key feedback. But we're looking at more AI features in 2026. We want to look at writing assistant. So help managers and employees phrase their sentences, offer feedback in a constructive way. And we're looking also at some tools, AI features for helping with guiding development or coaching conversation. So these are things that we're looking forward to look at.
And the market as a whole, do you feel like the space has really changed because of how people are using AI in terms of performance management?
I think so. I think a lot of people are starting to use AI day to day. We've been to events for HR in the HR space, and there's a lot of talks about how to use AI to help support HR. So again, I don't think it's there to replace the human judgment, but really to support them and get them to analyze the data quicker and take actions.
And what advice would you give to HR leaders that are looking for a performance management tool in 2026?
I think I would advise HR leaders to think beyond features and really focus on adoption. The best performance management system you can have is one that managers and employees will use consistently. So look for a platform that's clear, flexible, sustainable through time. If your company evolves, you want to make sure the platform evolves with you. And I think ultimately, it's not just about finding a platform that can run reviews. It's about finding the right platform to build a culture where feedback helps people grow.
That was a great answer. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it. Primalogik is one of our Software Finder Excellence Award winners, which speaks to the value that your platform generally provides to performance management users. So thank you so much for your time.